And it was almost that he was intuitively prepared for the worst. But he died really a broken-hearted man, and we should all be in a way responsible for cutting short his life, a very productive life. He was still looking ahead with enthusiasm, not with bitterness, with no regret, but definitely a deep, deep sense of sorrow and a deep sense of longing to come back to the country to which he owed so much, which should have owed him a lot too, for putting India on the map of the world. But it didn't happen.
No, my point here is it's the whole government and not... one second. Yes, Rahul, then I'll come to Akhil. Yes, Rahul.
See, definitely there were implicit and indirect threats to him, but we should also not overlook Sri Husain Saab's interview to various channels last year, where he said he had a lot of tax benefits from Qatar. That is one of the reasons why he went there. So I believe, even though I respect his sentiments, we shouldn't over-glorify and overdo and over-sensationalize and emotionalize the issue.
Pritish Nandi?
I think that all that is, you know, to keep our hands clean. We are like Pontius Pilate, washing our hands of the crime. The fact is that Husain was hounded out of this country. The fact is that we are now blaming a small group of hoodlums, which is not true. There was a clear political conspiracy to hound him out of this country. And the fact is that the government stood by and did nothing at all to defend him, to protect him, and to make him feel secure.
I'm coming to that point. Alka, yes.
Political.
I'm just coming to you after.
Romanticizing his going away, and we're not making so much of an issue of his going away, not being able to come back. I think there's more to Husain than just being away for X number of years. And we're not talking about his legacy, we're not talking about his work, we're not talking about how he saw the arts as a composite whole. We're just talking about him not being able to come back or being in exile. And it's really, as Rahul said, over-romanticizing the fact that, he couldn't come. It's a choice he made. He seemed really, over the years that one has seen his interviews and spoken to him, he was quite at home, he was at peace, he was happy to do that museum, which was one of his greatest loves, to see a museum on his own work, which he tried to do in Ahmedabad, which didn't work. We tried to do it here, Husain Ki Sarai, in Delhi, it didn't work. And he was really looking forward to having the museum in Qatar, because obviously the kind of money that would be able to, the Qatar would have been able to pump in to create that museum and to have a world-class museum for his work, I think was one of his greatest dreams.
Okay,
and he was working towards it. It's just unfortunate that it didn't happen.
Saeed Mirza wants to rebut you very briefly.
Not to rebut Alka, but just to tell you that his studio in Delhi was vandalized, his studio in Ahmedabad was vandalized. Let's get the facts very clear. But despite that,
he didn't have a studio ever.
But despite
he didn't have a studio ever. He painted wherever he was, in a hotel room, in a hotel room, in somebody's house, wherever he was staying. He didn't have a studio.
Vandalized, Alka. But having said that, I want to add something more.
He didn't have a studio. Come on, Saeed.
I'm amused that we think...
I'd like to say something on at this point.
The last time that I saw him, he was painting with the Oberois. When he was turning 90, I interviewed him and Shamshad together for one of my columns. And there he was, the entire suite in the Oberois was full of works that he was working on. And the entire floor was covered with plastic.
We're getting rebuts. 1 minute.
So in fact, he said himself that he's never had a studio in his life.
Okay, now we're getting rebuts. So I first want to go to Pritish Nandi. I'll come to you, Akhil, right at the end, because I want to settle this part of the debate first. Pritish Nandi, Shobha, just after Pritish.
I'd like to say something too.
Yes, certainly. But first,
no,
Pritish.
I think that it's tragic that here we are talking about one of the greatest painters of our time, one of the greatest artists of the century, and we think he is more eager to have a museum in Qatar than to be respected in his own country and to stay in his own country, in his own home, in his home city. And as if he went to Qatar for the money to be spent on building a museum for him. I think that is rubbish.
Okay.
I think the truth is that he felt scared, he felt lonely, he felt afraid, he went away because he felt unprotected.
Yes, Shobha.
Arnab, I think it's awful to be saying that he sold out. The man was, he was against a wall. He really had absolutely zero option. Had he stayed back in India, he would have been killed. It was as simple as that. It was a direct threat to his life. If you think he was having a wonderful time in Qatar and did it for the money, whoever thinks that, completely and totally wrong. I've met him several times in the interim, even after he took Qatar citizenship, which was almost thrust on him. He had no choice. He opted for safety, and I'd like to say that his art was more important than any location in the world. He wanted to paint, plain and simple, and he could only do it in an environment that provided him physical security. It was not about the money. He'd make money wherever. He could paint on a bench in Mumbai, and his paintings would sell.
Sure.
It was not the location.
Yeah. I just want to go to Akhil once. Akhil, Shobha, they said that he expected more out of the government.
Yes. Well, I agree that it's entirely naive to think that his move and taking another citizenship was out of free choice and for some great benefit that he was getting there. I think that's a naive view. Having said that, I think that he was quite philosophical about things. He expressed to me, I remember specifically, that look, being Indian may have a political complexion, but there's an emotional definition of being Indian. I am Indian in my heart, and you know, I know that the people of India love me, and nobody can take that away from me. And he specifically regarded the shrill voices that hounded him as not being representative of the majority voice. As far as the government is concerned, as I said to you earlier, I think that what he would have welcomed and what all of us would have welcomed, again, I don't want to strike too combative a note, I don't think it's the right occasion to do so, was some expression of support. It's not enough to say, well, we never said that we won't protect you. We expect our government, which is a bulwark against infringing individual rights, to be a little more proactive than that, to have given some expression of support. And if you're going to declaim and decry these forces as today as being communal, why wasn't it done at the time?
Sure. Last quick word from Saeed Mirza, yes.
You know, on the 31st of December last year, before he started his magnum opus, the Ramayana, he actually made a statement. He says, Valmiki ji mere dil mein aake bas gaye, and that's why I started this painting. The magnum opus, which is the Ramayana that he's creating right now. This is Mr. M.F. Husain, and that's his answer to everybody. He still painted.
Well, to everyone, and of course, to everyone, and with deep respect and paying our great tribute to this wonderful artist. Thank you very much. Let's hope we learn the lessons there.